Greetings. So it's been just over 3 months, 3 months and 10 days if you want to get autistic about it, since I got my official NHS diagnosis.
So you do have autism.
I do. And people have been watching my videos recently about my assessment. Thank you. So I thought maybe it would be worth having a bit of a reflection and letting you know what's happened post-diagnosis. Hi, I'm Claire. Please enjoy the sun setting behind me over Hathersage while I tell you about who I am and how we got to this point. So I'm a 42-year-old psychotherapist, spent most of my life dissociated, not really connected to my body, not really knowing what's going on. I have tens of memories for each decade up until my 40s. Early 30s, the word Asperger's started to be bandied around within the context of me. I didn't pay much attention. Then we had lockdown and the world got a lot smaller. My world got a lot smaller. It was a lot quieter. I questioned autism a little bit more, started doing some online tests, started trying out the idea for myself. Some people were furious with me, other people were dismissive. Got to 2022 and I was pretty comfortable describing myself as autistic. That definitely was my experience of the world. I wasn't bothered about formal diagnosis. I was happy with a self-diagnosis. I think there was a small bit of me also that just wasn't 100% sure and was worried that I was going to be told, you're just a bit rubbish. And then February last year, I'd started thinking about going into further education. Maybe I'll enter the workplace again, unlikely, but I was becoming more and more aware of people really having to fight organisations for reasonable adjustments and for any kind of understanding or acceptance for their needs. If I do enter the academic setting again, it's already going to be stressful enough. I don't want to be fighting for the needs that I now know I have. And so I asked for a right to choose assessment for autism. The whole process happened all within a year. I was assessed in November and December, got my diagnosis in December, and now here I am 3 months later telling you about what it's like. It's really, really tough and I'm having a great time. And now a few of the things that I've been thinking of in the last few weeks since I decided, oh, maybe it's a good idea to do a 3-month update. Inevitably, it's taken me a few weeks to collate my thoughts, and it's even been 2 weeks since I did that first clip in Glossop. And that's one of the things, I'll talk a bit more about it later, but basically the amount of time that everything takes, the amount of time it takes for me anyway. I feel like this is a thing for the general autistic experience. We have a slower process sound, knowledge, information, feelings in our bodies, understanding of things that we've experienced. It all just takes time. And for me, it also takes time to get work done. Shocker. A surprising thing really is the legitimacy that I felt. There's something about, well, actually it's a researched phenomena, the white coat effect. Even though I'd comfortably self-diagnosed for 2 years and was happy to admit that I'm autistic to most people, and to myself, gave myself more compassion and more space and was more aware, there's an extra layer of comfort that I didn't know I didn't have, but now post-diagnosis I can feel it in just my ability to be out. And I think that might be something about somebody else has corroborated. Even though, put me in a room of autistic people and there's no doubt that I'm autistic, the officialness of a medical professional means that now I've got something that says, no, actually they said, rather than it's just me saying, no, I say, because I've spent my whole life being contradicted or told that I'm wrong. So that was a surprise. I've got an extra layer of comfort being in the world as an autistic person and admitting that to most people. Second thing I've written about is skill regression. It's quite a common thing that people will talk about once they do get their diagnosis. There's some strange phenomena where the things that they were able to do before, they suddenly lose the ability to do it. That didn't happen to me quite as much as I'd feared. I have had a look into what the theories are around why that happens, and not many people have offered an explanation. A lot of people have talked about the things that they have regressed. So things like social skills and their ability to look after themselves, like self-care and eating and things like that. The theory being that once you know that you have been masking and you start to unmask, you kind of take away the connections in your brain, pruning, that allowed you to do those things because you were doing it for some other reason other than an internal drive to. And so once you recognize that, oh, this is a thing that I don't necessarily want to do, you kind of lose the ability to do it. And this is all, it's all an unconscious process. It's not the thoughts. The encouraging thing about that is if you did already learn how to do those things and you suddenly lost them, the ability to do those things is still there somewhere in your brain. You just need to make a new pathway back to them. So it's about finding your motivation and your drive again. And like I say, thankfully that didn't really happen to me. What did happen in a related sense to that is a greater awareness of the things that I was doing and why, and the things that maybe I wasn't doing and why, or the things that I found difficult but hadn't admitted to being difficult, like showering. I've always showered every other day, claiming, and it makes sense to me, and it's true, the water and soap's not good for your skin. But actually, it's really bloody hard work going in the shower, isn't it? And the idea of all those transitions and changes and different temperatures and different sensations, I'd never broken it down into all those component parts until I've seen other influencers, content creators talking about it. And oh, yeah, I actually find that quite hard. And it takes a lot of effort to be doing all of those steps to get in and out and moisturized and dressed. And yeah, so that's new. Another part of that, which I don't think will fit into any of the other sections that I'm talking about, is being perceived. This is something that really has only recently landed in me. I hadn't really clocked that this was a thing that bothered me. I thought I moved around fairly freely in the world. That is absolutely not true. I've really noticed me not going in the kitchen when there's other people in the kitchen. Actually, what I'm finding really difficult now is it's a smaller kitchen, so there's more people around. There could be more people around. It's harder to move around. But actually, I just don't want people there while I'm doing something. I can't tell you why. Same goes for cleaning. I don't want to do these things when somebody else might be able to see me doing them. I had no idea this was a thing. And it's really only in the last 2 months, I would say, that I've really, well, I didn't even do it. It's like Tetris. These pieces just dropped in, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't like being perceived. And I've noticed that a little bit more when I'm out and about. And obviously, I just push through. There's thousands of people out there. I've got no choice. And there's a part of me that's just like, ooh, it is a thing that I can push aside a little, but mostly I'm just not. I just don't want to make myself that uncomfortable, which is mental. But there we go. So that goes on to my third point, which is about permission and validation. I feel like I've been given permission now. I've been validated in things being difficult. I've been given permission to notice when things are difficult, the permission to adapt and change, make adjustments to the things that I'm doing, the places that I'm going, how I'm living my life. I'm allowed to do that now. And it's not that I wasn't doing that before, but it does feel like post-diagnosis, it's like another layer of something has opened up, and I am just more connected to me and my needs, and aware of how the external environment is impacting me, and I'm allowed to adjust. I'm allowed to notice that I don't like something. The next point for me, and even though I already knew this to be true, there's something about the NHS diagnosis that has allowed it to land in me that this is a disability. It's a neurodisability. I've obviously seen the word disability or disabled and autism in the same sentence before, but it never really applied to me. It did, but I didn't know that. And again, something about the NHS diagnosis has just allowed that reality to land and what it actually means to be disabled by the way that my brain works or doesn't work. I am really tired. I am confused a lot of the time. I find relationships very, very challenging. I am in my head a lot about being in relationship, the mechanics of relationship. I am a therapist. I've learned the rule book of how to be in relationship, and yet I still find them very challenging. The fact that my job is about creating and maintaining a relationship, it's really taking it out of me. And so much so now that I recognize I do need to make some changes about the way that I work. And that's partly so that I can preserve the relationships in my life that I need to feed me. It's also because I recognize my energy is just dwindling. The fatigue through this process, and probably everything that was going on before as well. I think I've really firmed up my boundaries, what's okay and what isn't okay. And while what I'm about to say probably sounds quite transactional and a little bit mercenary maybe, and this isn't the way that we like to think about our relationships, for me it's really important that I do. I need to think about the investment that I put into a relationship and what am I getting back. Healthy relationship theory will tell you you shouldn't give and not get anything back. But there is something about the idea of, well, I'm not doing this thing to get something back from you. And yet, actually, I think I am. And where I've noticed that in relationships, I do feel like I'm investing more and I'm not getting back. I'm holding more firmly. I'm not investing quite so much. I'm not putting out quite so much. I am holding myself in my relationship with me, and I'm attending to my relationship with me and making sure that I am fed and nourished. My relationship with me is the most important one ultimately. Overall, it's the only one that's here all the time, and I need to feed me and attend to me. So my boundaries when it comes to other people, they are becoming clearer and firmer, I think. And related to that is the amount of time I spend confused. How much time I have spent confused as well. Like, this is another thing where it comes to the disabling part. There's still a lot that I don't understand. There's I can see interactions in front of me, or there's things happening in the world that I just don't get, and I can't stay stuck on the trying to work it out. There is I suppose some permission has been given in asking for clarification. I feel more valid in my need for getting clarification, but I also have lots of trauma from my past, from asking why and not getting an answer, asking why and people being defensive and or being shut down. So I'm still very cautious about seeking clarification, and I still spend a lot of time trying to guess, trying to work out what's going on rather than asking. And then the energy part of the disability, I just don't have a lot of energy. I think I am in some kind of burnout at the minute, and I think that's related to my work because my work as a therapist is being in relationship. Shocker, that's wearing me out. And so that's affecting other parts of my life and the energy that I have to live my life in the way that I want to. And I think as my defenses are coming down and I'm more connected to my body and I'm more honest about what works and what doesn't work, I just recognize that I'm slower than most people. I need I need more quiet, I need more calm, I need more space, I need more time, and this world is not made for that. And so my ability to live in this world is hugely hindered by my inability to produce more energy in order to engage in the world in that way. I do have a question about whether my reduction in ability to do life the way that I used to be able to is also hormonal. I am of an age where I am probably perimenopausal, and this could be due to hormones. And it still makes sense that my job being about being in relationship also takes more out of me than I'm able to replenish in time. And through allowing the label, if you like, of disability, well, that's got a lot of meaning, and probably part of the reason why I rejected it, unconsciously rejected it before. And now that I am accepting it, along with the idea of what disability means, comes the requirement for compassion and gentleness and grace and supporting myself. And I do. So there's permission to be a bit more self compassionate. And by extension, my compassion goes out to other people. I have a better awareness of what my limitations and my difficulties are, and therefore I have a better level of understanding for other people. This made me realize my internal ableist was large, loud, unforgiving. And while I'm sure they're still there a little bit, I definitely notice a softer attitude towards many other people that experience difficulties. And as a therapist, I kind of thought I already had that. I've heard many different ways that people struggle in the world, in their lives, and I I accept them wholeheartedly. And there was still room for improvement. So hopefully that has been improved and will continue to be improved. And conversely, with this permission that I have been given to notice my sensitivities and to be aware of external stimulation, overstimulation, loud and busy environments, I seem to actually have a better ability to withstand those. If I'm somewhere that I really want to be or somewhere that it's important that I'm able to stay, when I start to notice that constriction of my nervous system saying, no, this is too much, we need to leave, I I'm able to make a choice, and I might need to go out and have a bit of a break and come back in, but I'm able to make a choice to stay if I really want to. And that doesn't cause me any further discomfort in the moment. It's almost like I can sort of soothe that down. I can stay. I know that it's going to take me a day or two or four, turns out, to recover from that. But I have that choice now. And I think that's because I have respected those limitations so much more recently. I've become much more aware of where my limits are, and when things become uncomfortable, if I need to change or leave or adapt, I have done. And so I think there's more of a trust within my system that if I'm staying somewhere that feels objectively uncomfortable, but it's because I'm having a good time or I'm getting something more from it, then there's no more screaming internally, get out, get out, get out. It it is a all right, I trust you. I know this will be okay. And so that sort of alarm system gets overridden and I can continue to have a good time. That's nice. Again, I think connected to the permission thing, it's given me a language for shutdowns and meltdowns. I don't really think I had meltdowns previously, like in my first 35 years of life, maybe a little longer. My way of dealing with challenge and overwhelm was to go inward and I would shut down. Dissociation is my defensive choice, my unconscious choice. And shutdown is still something that happens now, less so now that I've been given permission to notice what's going on in me and to adapt. But there's something about the language that comes from the diagnosis, the disability, having meltdowns, having shutdowns, and recognizing when that's happening. I'm also kind of allowing them to happen. It's happening less in recent weeks and months, but I think as I notice the the meltdowns that I've had since diagnosis, it's almost like I've allowed them because I've noticed when they're happening at a level, an indescribable level, and rather than what I would have done before is pushed away and ignored it. I can't do that anymore. Like I don't really have that ability. So when I say I allowed it, I'm not sure that that's true, but it's more like I clocked that something was happening and I chose the outlet rather than the repression, which kind of feels difficult to admit right now. I chose to go over the top, but I think maybe there's something about balancing out the over the top to the completely dismiss, and that's where my trauma is. So that's the thing: meltdowns and shutdowns, language, and the experience of. So number 6 is grief. I think plenty of people do talk about this, maybe not quite in this way. The grief of recognizing or it being shown to you, or just there's dawning moments that come on of how things could have been different if this had been picked up sooner. For me, my grief is a lot around the hard work of being alive, the hard work of getting on in the world, how hard I've had to work with no support really to get to where I am now, like living independently. I've got my own business. I'm doing all right. And by the measures of most 40 something people, I'm not doing great actually. And I don't know how different things would be if I did have more support. And I don't know how different things would be if I'd have learned all the things that I've learned in the last 5 years, 30 years ago. But I suppose it doesn't really matter. The grief is the grief. And it's more about life has been really hard. And perhaps even if I just knew a little bit more, I could have adapted a little bit more, could have advocated for myself a little bit more, and I didn't, and life was hard because of it. Life is going to continue being hard because of autism. I say, and that's okay. It has to be okay because that's the way that it is. And life is going to continue being hard because of autism. I think there's probably some anger work to do there as well. Now that I know, and now that I don't really dissociate anymore, I'm connected to my body and my feelings and my sensations, it means that I'm better placed than I ever was to give myself the life that feels best, that is most for me. It's it's my life, living it on my terms rather than the shoulds and the expectations that the world puts on you and that I put on myself because I took them from the world, because I wasn't connected to me, because I wasn't okay. But ultimately, I'm having a great time, because even though the hard things feel even harder because I know about them, I'm more aware of them, the ridiculousness that's going on in our government and in the wider world certainly does not make me feel good about being other. I can connect to my joy better. I have given myself permission to enjoy all the things that I enjoy, regardless of whether somebody else thinks they're childish or not. I have an abundance of cuddly toys, some that are for business purposes. Um, and yeah, I'm unashamedly enjoying the things that I enjoy. Something about autistic joy, those two words together, we really know how to be joyful. We really feel the wonder of of how great things can be. And I think that's the balance. That's what is going to get us through. Certainly, while things seem to be taking a further dystopian turn, we don't have to be all in to the dystopian future. We can also be unashamedly connected to what feels good, seek pleasure, find the magic, have fun too. So, in conclusion, I spend a lot of my time confused. Things feel really hard. I cannot get away from the struggle of day to day life, the grief of knowing how hard I found things for so many years and gone largely unsupported is really hard to handle. And yet, I'm much more conversant in the language of my body and my nervous system. I recognize and admit to and accept things are difficult. Things will continue to be difficult. And it's hard to know that things will continue to be difficult, certainly while I live in this, whatever it is that we're in right now. The world is not made for people like me, for people like us. I'm guessing you have a curiosity about autism too. But we can make our own world, and I am making my own world. And whilst that's very, very challenging, the perspective that I have right now is that it's nowhere near as challenging as trying to squash myself and put myself back to wherever it is that I was for the first 40 years of my life. I'm out. I know who I am. I feel who I am. I feel my way in the world. And that's great because I also feel joy and happiness, and I can really feel the value of things. And when something is right for me and when I like something, I really bloody like it. So autistic joy is a thing. It needs to be separated from just normal joy. We feel it more. We feel everything more. And that can make things harder, but it also makes things so much more wonderful. So whilst it's hard getting to this place and it's been a journey, I'm really happy to be here. I'm really glad I've got the insights that I have, the knowledge that I have, the relationships that I have. As hard as they are, I've got some great friends. And the relationship with me is better than ever. I've never felt more connected to me. I've never known myself better. I have never been more on my side. And I have not felt many people be on my side. And that's just really nice. And now I will unashamedly just follow my joy. Does it spark joy? Yes, I'm going to go and do it. I am having to learn B just flow fast. And B's this year for me so far have been sort of symbols of goodness. So that's nice while I'm doing this little conclusion. Yeah, unashamedly following the things that work for me. I wish everybody was able to unashamedly follow the things that work for them rather than having to fall in line and follow the rules and the expectations of this capitalist society. And I suppose there are some things that I am following because I have to survive in the material world. And the antidote to that for me is, what do I like to do? What brings me pleasure? Right, I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to do it a bit more, and I'm going to wholeheartedly get in there. So if you've made it this far, all the way to the end, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I hope you've enjoyed this exploration. It's been really hard to reflect and collate it and put it into something that makes sense. I hope it made sense. I hope it was informative. I hope you've got something useful out of this, and I hope you enjoyed it too. As part of my building a new life and following my joy, I am going to continue making YouTube videos. As hard and complicated as I found it, actually, I get a lot of joy from the creativity and the trying to work out a comprehensive story from the thing that I'm trying to say, and crafting it into, hopefully, not this one, but I'll get to cinematic masterpieces. And I hope you stick around and follow me on that. I will do a few more updates around autism specifically, certainly 1 year post-diagnosis. Hopefully that one will make more sense than this one. So if you're curious what it is that I'm going to create, me too. I think we'll have some fun along the way. I certainly will be trying. So please subscribe if you want to see where I go. Please like this video so more people can see it. And I'll see you in the next one. Completely blank. It's covered in cat hair. How lovely. This video is not being succinct again.